This video is going to go into how you can use the unlisted capability in the restaurant software to make a restaurant hidden for the sake of using it for job site delivery. So how that's going to work is you're going to want to pull up your restaurant software and have your 5 job site restaurants picked out already and inserted onto your restaurant software with a restaurant profile. And then you'll also want to have your homestead builder up, or whatever builder you will be using. And we're going to add a section in that is going to link to our hidden menus so that customers can access it. So essentially how that's going to work, if you open up your edit menus and vendors section of your software and select a restaurant by going to choose a restaurant and then just selecting any restaurant. If you click on restaurant profile, at the bottom on the left hand side, there is a button that says unlisted. So this is the button that we are going to be using. We're not going to click it just yet, but we are going to leave this page open for whenever we are ready to make it unlisted. So let's see, I have Basil's, Sushi Bar, and Asian Fusion. Okay, so on our homestead site, what I'm going to do is insert a section, and I will just do a blank section, and it's going to go beneath, or well, you can put this wherever you want, obviously. Oh, looks like we have a background formatted there. Anyway, so if you input any item in here, any text or image that you want to link. So essentially, if I was going to put in here I will do elements, and I'm going to put in some text. I'm going to make it a heading. I'm going to set that right here. Let me switch over the font there to match my website. Okay, so if I am listing this as my Monday restaurant, and I want to list my restaurant right here, I'm going to also want to insert an image, and we're just going to pull any images or any image that's already in here. Let's see, let's just use the business spotlight image. All right, so let's say this is my restaurant logo. So I want to have it centered something like this to where it indicates that Monday is going to have this restaurant as the specified day for that, or the specified restaurant for that day. So in order to link it, what you'll need to do is go to your page here again, and if you have inserted your own link, then you can just copy the link from over in the domain editing section. But for this one, what we're going to do is just copy the organic, or rather the link that was automatically created whenever we created this restaurant. So I'm just going to copy my URL and paste it in another tab and hit enter. And that should take me to the page where I can click on my restaurants and click on the restaurant that we are going to be using. So this gives me a link up at the top. I'm going to take this link and copy it. And in the Homestead Builder, I'm going to use that link to make my website, well, link to it. So how you do that is if you have text, you're going to want to highlight the text, click the link button, and click the URL radio button right there. You're going to paste that in. And if you want to open that in a new tab, that would probably be a good idea. Click OK. Notice how on the text it gets a little funky just because it underlines it. You can just click the underline button to make it ununderlined, and whenever you click back in there and you go to attach link, the link will remain. For the image, all you will need to do is click on the image, and there's the same, just a little link button up in that toolbar. You're going to click on URL and paste in the same, there we go, the same URL. So, all right. Now, whenever I preview this page, it's going to give me the option to, whenever I click on my restaurant, or well, my thing that I just formatted there, it pops up. But we actually haven't made it internal only yet because, as you can see, it's still available on the left-hand panel. And I'm sure if I go to left-hand panel, it'll still be there. So to hide it, what we're going to do is click the unlisted button, hit save, and that's all there is to it. So how that works functionally, I'm going to close out of these two pages here, actually just the one. We're going to click on our link that we created, and it's going to open us up in a new tab. All right, so we're taken to the Basil Sushi Bar and Asian Bistro, but whenever we open up the restaurants, it is no longer present right there as it was right here. So if I refresh this page, it's going to do the same thing where it is no longer available. So this isn't the only way to use this functionality. Of course, if you want to use it just for the sake of having specific customers order from specific restaurants due to whatever maybe location or circumstance, or rather whatever circumstance, you can use this to your ability. It is a good feature. It's a feature that is quickly reversible. And see, if I just click on live and hit save, that's all there is to it. It's going to be just as quick as it had whenever I had made it unlisted. So yeah, that's essentially all there is to making a restaurant unlisted on the site and then linking it to your homestead page. So the way that we list the restaurants here may differ from how you design it to how we design it. So yeah, that's all there is to making a restaurant unlisted and linking it to your job site page. To create the workplace menu itself, you will actually need to format a whole new menu in your restaurant software. What this includes is essentially just taking the menu for the restaurant that is hopefully already created on your website to use for restaurant delivery and just limiting the options and limiting the ordering time. So we'll go into how you can do that. Go ahead and start by opening up your edit menus and vendors. Choose the restaurant that you're going to be copying from. And just you'll need to use all the information configured in the restaurant profile whenever you create the new restaurant. I would also have pulled up your menu online so that you can copy from it. And so yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So actually, one other thing that you can do, just for the sake of of ease for yourself, just open up another tab of the same thing, and just for a reference point, and then make sure that you're only editing on one of the tabs. This is okay. So I'm gonna have the menu pulled up here. Actually, the restaurant profile pulled up right here, and then on this page, I'm going to configure a new restaurant. Okay. So I don't have very much information configured in here just because I am using this for the sake of a tutorial. So obviously you're going to have a lot more information configured in here, including zip codes, delivery fees, hours, things like that. So basically just to copy over what you're going to, well, the information that you'll need, I would just click in, right click, copy, go to the next, or go back to the tab that you're editing, where you're creating the new restaurant profile, and paste it in there. Anything that has numbers in it, you will need to type out. For whatever reason, sometimes the software has issues storing the numbers. So, for example, the phone number, I'll need to actually type in 701 and so on if I'm going to configure that. So, it's just a process of taking the information from your restaurant that's already configured and moving it over. So that should be all we need. And we need today to be open as well. Okay. And if you have any questions on how I did any of that, reference back to the other tutorials that talk about configuring your restaurant profile, and that should go over all the fields that are necessary for you to configure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now we have a blank menu with the same restaurant profile, pretty much the same restaurant profile as our regular menu. So this menu here is your restaurant delivery menu. This right here will be your job site menu. To make this a job site menu, or if you remember from earlier, click into restaurant profile and you'll make it unlisted. Then you'll link it to the homestead. Oh, we need an abbreviated vendor name. See, sometimes it just doesn't store the information. That is if you copy and paste. If you type it in, it will save it every time. Okay, so we have our menu, and in the restaurant profile now we are unlisted. Perfect. From this point, there are two things that you can do. You can manually input these items, or you can use the menu sharing tool and then delete the items that you don't need. Sometimes, like for this menu, that would be a long process of deleting headers and then items. So what might be a little bit easier, instead of using that menu sharing tool, let's see, right here, which by the way, you can copy over from your own restaurant. So let's see, the one that I'm using is Georgia Delivery. So, oh, that's Cobbler. Okay, there we are. So notice I have two right here. If I preview the selected menu, I can see that this one is my filled out menu, and this one here is my not filled out menu. And if I wanted to copy it over, I would just click on my filled out menu and copy it to my not filled out menu, and then hit download. But we're going to do it a little differently. So in your edit menus and vendors, choose that restaurant. There it is. Oh, we're not in the restaurant profile. We're actually in the menu itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a few select items to copy over. Whenever you're selecting items, make sure that you're choosing some cheaper options for the sake of your customer, because they chances are they're not going to want to pay a lot for a limited selection. So let's see, we can do, well, this particular menu is actually a little bit expensive. And it may not be in some locations, but in this specific location it would be. You really don't want to go too far over $10 whenever you, and that's including the delivery fee. Oh, but here we go. We have a daily special selection, which is available until 3, which would work out for us because we're going to be doing this on Thursdays until 3. So this is definitely an option. If your restaurant has something like this, then you would want to, I mean, replicate it. It's a great opportunity for your customers to not have to pay so much. And chances are this is inexpensive for the restaurant itself to create, so they'll be more willing to give you a discount if they're willing to do that. So, all right, we'll go ahead and copy a couple items now. We'll just do some chicken lo mein. All right, doesn't look like there's any additional items on there, so we're just going to create a new item. Well, first we have to do the header. So under the header, we can do lunch specials, and we'll add that in. And then under the lunch specials, we'll be using the, where was it? Chicken lo mein. Main. Item price is $11.50, $11.50, and in the description, what do we got here? We have, oh nope, can't copy. Served with egg roll and fried rice. So here we go. Okay, we'll add that in. That's our first item. We'll drag it down, and there it is. Using these headers is a good way if you you have any items that are more expensive. Just separating them into entrees, which would be the more luxury items for what you want, versus the lunch specials, which are going to be the cheaper or economic option. So we'll go ahead and we'll just add a entree of some sort. Let's do sweet and sour chicken. Expensive. All right, so under this one though, we would just use the entrees. That would be our heading. On that in, and we're just going to do the one item. Actually, let's just do sesame chicken because it's shorter. Sesame chicken, and that was priced at $16. And let's see, battered tender chicken with sesame sauce. So What was battered tender chicken with sesame sauce. Okay. Battered tender chicken with sesame sauce. Okay, we'll add that down and we'll move it to the left. Okay, so now what we have are two different categories. And if you want to restrict the ordering, what you'll want to do is, well, make sure that, you have two options here. You can either split them into different ordering times, or you can assign them both the same ordering time and limit job site ordering until lunch is over, which was 3 o'clock, I believe, under the lunch specials at this location. This is going to vary for your restaurant and your business depending on what you would prefer to do. So how you would configure that, you would right click on the heading, not the item, but the heading, and then down where it says time range, go ahead and click on that, and you can configure a time range for any given day. So if you don't include a day on here, customers won't be able to order that day. So be sure to add this for every day that they will be ordering. Our delivery hours are from 11 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. for job site delivery. So we'll add in that time range and hit done. And there we are. So now that I have that configured, customers can only order from this category at this restaurant from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. unless they choose to use my regular restaurant delivery, where they can click it at any time. Yeah, so then entrees, same thing. If you wanted to select a time range, maybe you want to give the entrees a little bit longer because you want to do delivery a little bit longer. You can set that from 11 o'clock a.m. to, let's say, we're going to do 4:30 p.m. We'd add that in. So now these two items, the entrees are now available on Thursdays from 11 to 4:30, and the lunch specials are only available Thursday until 3 o'clock. So let's see, we have, okay, so this restaurant is unlisted. So the only way to access it is going to be by having the link, as I showed you before. And then once they get there, they're going to see just these two headings. So let me go ahead and make it visible just so for the sake of checking out that restaurant. And we'll look at the differences. So we have our restaurant delivery restaurant, which is the same as our job site with only certain items. There we go. They only deliver from 11 to 3 today, so they'll get that notification. And if you want to ever click it back, just go to the restaurant profile. Or rather, if you want to make it live or unlisted, then you can do that. We're going to keep it unlisted. We're going to copy this. And actually, we're going to refresh this as well. All right. Actually, first, let's do this. Okay, so looking at the restaurant again, if you go to, or rather the software, if you go to the restaurants, you can see only one is available. But if we paste in our link, we will go to different. The only open restaurant, and that is, or rather, the hidden restaurant for job site lunch delivery. So that's how you configure it. As far as the menus go, you can add as many items as you want. And if you really would prefer to not deal with two restaurants, you can also just use this as your, as your job site lunch restaurant as well. I mean, if you, the time ranges work just the same. So if you wanted to say, job site lunch delivery for lunch specials and then limit it to 3 o'clock, customers can't order outside of that time range. So you can use this as you would like. This right here, the two, or rather the hidden restaurant with few selections is how we do it because it tends to be more efficient and you're more likely to get discounts this way. But of course, you can use whatever methods you would like. And again, if you have any more questions on menu entering or restaurant profiles, be sure to check out the previous videos that cover each of those topics. But as for creating the lunch restaurant, or rather the job site lunch restaurant, this is all there is to it.